Stop what you're doing right now and ask yourself, have you seen Shogun? If you haven't, you gotta get on that right now. If you took every show away from me right now in 2024 and asked me if I would trade them all so I could keep Shogun, I'm slamming that deal button because Shogun is the show of 2024 and it shouldn't be a surprise. Everyone hates reboots unless the reboot is readapting an incredible source material that hasn't been done perfect yet, because the result is some of the greatest films and television series we have ever seen. And we even saw it earlier this year with Dune, with it being such a great readaptation of those original books, and we see it here again with Shogun. Shogun originally was a book written in 1975 and follows a pirate named Blackthorn who crashes onto the sands of Japan and is swept up into a political war as a crucial pawn to the Lord Toranaga. This book for years has been held as a literary classic that I still need to read. I'll get around to it. I still need to finish Dune. But just like Dune, this was adapted earlier in the 70s and was actually held in very high regard with the original miniseries that came out. Even my grandpa saw it and I asked him what he thought of it, and in quotes, he said, "I don't remember much about it." Even with the old miniseries being held in really high regard, this really is the perfect time to give Shogun the big budget it deserves. And that is one of my favorite things this show does. It takes its big budget, but instead of making it a movie, it sticks to that original miniseries format, and that is why this show is so good. Huge books are hard to adapt since usually a book takes around an hour to an hour and a half just to only read 100 pages or so. So when your book is over 200 pages long, huge amounts of the story are going to end up being cut out of a feature film. That's why I'm so happy that the showrunner saw how well it was executed before in the limited series format and decided to go from there and just give it the huge FX treatment, because man, all of that original story and all of the buildup we see throughout the miniseries is what makes Shogun as incredible as it is. And the best part about it is when you have a great story at the center of your project, everything else on the production side of filmmaking ends up falling into place. The set design and production design and even the costume design is absolutely incredible, and how the crew was able to transform British Columbia into what feels like feudal Japan through very smart and well implemented uses of green screen and visual effects for set extensions, and it really creates a world that truly feels huge and encapsulating, which is exactly what you want about a show following a person stranded in a huge world. Speaking of which, the characters. The secret sauce of this show, as well as the book, is how brilliantly and depthful all the characters throughout the show are, especially when it comes to the slow change and progression of Blackthorn. Blackthorn is our main protagonist, and he is so fascinating and easy to relate to as we put ourselves into his shoes and try to figure out how we would end up navigating this huge world and the ever-changing politics of it. Toranaga, Mariko, Anjin, Ishido, Buntaro, even Father Martin all have their own ploys as they venture for power in the void that lies at the top of feudal Japan. All of them trying to push their own agendas and their own policy forward, and even some of them vying to be the Shogun. Shogun is a masterful show of setups and payoffs and playing with expectations, as we expect one generic ending only for subversive and new plans from other characters to slowly infiltrate the story and take place of what we expected to actually happen. Shogun is a show that plants seeds early on you won't notice, and by the end will leave you shocked and have your mouth on the floor, with an ending that left me so filled with dread and awe and astoundment with how the entire show wrapped up so incredibly and nothing like I'd seen before. Shogun is a show that cannot be explained, and one that must be experienced, and one that works together perfectly. The violence is horrifying and devastating, yet also subtle with how little it's actually used. The show is one that has its battle raged over politics, with words being shared for hours even before a blade will ever be drawn. Yet this is a show that is always captivating with the ever-changing status quo and the evolving world that leaves us just as confused as Blackthorn who's in it. And the ending leaves us with a show that plays with our expectations and what we thought was going to happen on every level. Just like these characters, we feel like a small pawn in a huge world, and by the end, we feel just as lost as when we began in the story. No show since Severance has made me feel so part of a world that is so unique and individual, and for that alone, Shogun is one of the best shows I've seen in the last few years. Shogun is masterful, it's engaging, it's entertaining, and it's everything you want prestige television to be right now. Shogun is absolutely incredible and a masterful display of television and how much you can do when you trust in your writers and directors to create something truly original and something that can go far beyond what even the directors and writers of the 80s could think television could be. Shogun for me is a strong 9 out of 10, possibly a 10, but what did you guys think of it? Did you love it, or do you think it's one of those extremely overrated shows that everyone like me is hyping up? Let me know. Anyway, I got more videos coming out later this week, and when those come out, I'll see you then. Bye.